I would like to call the meeting to order. It is 7 o'clock. Can everybody quiet down? Let's call the meeting to order. Carolyn, meeting's called to order. Thank you. So, welcome everybody. I'm going to start with the approval of the minutes. Everybody had a chance to review last meeting's minutes?
I have questions about.
You have what?
I have some questions about.
Okay.
About the minutes. It was brought up that you did not think it was not a reasonable request to ask if.
Hold on one second. You know, I'm not sure it's the commissioners who are reviewing the meeting minutes, correct?
Right.
Especially if somebody's not here, I'm not sure that, I mean, we can answer any question you want, but when we get to residents' concern. But right now, this is just last meeting's minutes, and
All right.
I believe,
Go ahead.
anyone disagree with that? I think it's for the commissioners who,
Yeah, it's just for us to
Okay.
approve.
Oh,
so, how's
you're not a
everybody?
commissioner. Go home, so
Oh.
you gotta go to the meeting.
Hey, Chris. It's nice to talk to you. My sister is without her phone today. We have not. It died.
Mark, are you reviewing them now or just re-reviewing them?
Oh, yeah, just want to.
Okay.
So I just had a quick question, actually. What was the determination on the snow removal steps? I mean, was there already vote on, or any provisions on any specifications that were already intact for the proposal of the snow season?
There is in the packet, I think we're gonna talk about it tonight.
Okay,
There's a couple bids, I think there's a couple problems, so,
okay,
we will certainly discuss that.
okay. And then the other thing is on page 4, it says, T-Lo asked if she was able to sign as vice chair the document submitted on November 6th and asked if anyone had any questions on this document. For some reason, I may have missed that. What was that document on November 6th pertaining to?
Yeah. Okay.
That was on the motion to approve the resolution, it was the resolution.
Wasn't it for the Yale students?
I'm trying to see, we signed a bunch of stuff last meeting.
Yep.
Oh, it was the resident participation letter.
Oh, okay. That was one of them.
Right,
Yeah.
and that was unanimous, right, we unanimously approved that, and,
Okay. Okay.
yeah.
That's all.
Hello.
Larry?
Okay.
Anything else?
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
There's a couple of chairs.
Another commissioner report. Yeah.
There is a, well, I haven't got any call reports, I've been around. I haven't heard anything, they're talking among themselves, not coming to me, so.
Okay.
There's a big switch football, I said she needed a parking space closer to the walkway, so
Okay.
I switched with her, so.
We just went from 1 to 5 to 5.
Yeah, it's no big deal, so, yeah, and other than that, I haven't,
And Jamie's not here. Is there anyone else from the resident commission? The,
No, Lee's not here.
Association.
from the association? Are you from the association? No, there's nobody here from there.
No, Lee is the only other one.
yeah.
Okay. So I am not exactly sure what to do, but I guess this might be a good time, Bo, if you had questions, we could answer your
Yeah.
questions.
Okay, great. Thanks, Stacy. According, on the minutes, you would thought it not unreasonable to ask to have somebody come and look at the buildings to see if they can be fixed up.
Yes.
Okay? I wonder if that is going anywhere.
I believe that went to Cheryl and Larry to look into, so I don't know if either one of you can speak to that.
That's something that's been.
Yeah, I'm Larry Klitsch, I'm consultant with the Housing Authority. I think the first step would be to do an RFP for an architect to prepare to look at the buildings, to do a critical needs and assessment, to prepare for funding, when it should be available. I'm mainly talking about Parkside 2, obviously, so
Yeah.
that can be done. And so, prepare a plan so that when funding is available, we're ready to move quickly.
Okay.
And we can do that quickly, I'll pull that together.
Is that gonna be an assessment for funding for repairs or redevelopment?
We're
Both,
asking for repairs.
potentially both, yeah. Because there is funding that may come down for critical needs, which is for the major, certain repairs, and then there may be other funding that may come down for redevelopment and repositioning.
Now, how does the Housing Commission oversee that process
Which process?
of the assessment that is anticipated to happen?
Well, I guess we have to have it done and then review it.
And we get the report of what they
Right.
found. And then we have to discuss,
We'll have it as an agenda item when
Yeah,
we get the
right.
report back, and I guess then we'll, get some,
I mean, and then it would be up to somebody like me, I guess, to prepare some type of financial plan of how it can be carried out. What are the potential options? How does it impact marketing? How does it impact, what's the potential funding stream for it?
Well, I would like to make a recommendation as a licensed contractor myself for about 27 years. I would like to actually have participation and be involved with that.
Yeah.
Because I haven't had any cooperation since.
Yeah. And that's something when once we have an architect involved, do a walkthrough, have an analysis, have them do it, have your input in it. I don't know if you've been out to see units and do this.
I was not allowed to. I've been making attempts and not cooperating.
Why do we need an architecture? An architect to look at the buildings that are there now? Why we have to fund out more money?
It's always gonna be a requirement by who's ever giving you money to have a professional architect in engineering firm. It is always a requirement of that, particularly for this first step, critical needs. They do require a third-party professional architect to certify that.
The
So
money's a
you
drain.
have to do it, I know it. I know.
And that's not determined by what you're actually getting, you're asking for funding for? It's not determined by whether you're looking for redevelopment funding or,
Well, in both cases, you'll have to have that. So you'll have to have a set of plans that can be bid out, et cetera, to be able to go in for your funding. But even for the critical needs, which may be boilers, it may be roofs, anything like that, CHAFA, the Department of Housing, requires a third-party architect to certify that they're critical and need to be done. So, yeah.
and that will be independent from the people that have already been involved over the previous years?
Well, I'm talking about Parkside 2, when we're looking at that. I think Parkside 1 has a plan that's moving ahead. So my
I'm
focus
just
is
talking
mainly
about
Parkside.
building A.
I'm not familiar with
Parkside 1.
Parkside 1.
Yeah, I'm talking about Parkside 1. Where us,
I am
the
as well.
people living there have
Yeah.
to leave. And we don't want to leave. Well, but that's,
That's the reason why I wanted to personally make an assessment on those
I
buildings,
agree.
but I have not been allowed to.
and Mark, you can come over and see me anytime.
I wanted to see actually the unoccupied units to determine how much work is needed to get these units rented and why they've been empty for so long.
Well, I'd like to know that too.
Cheryl, can you address that?
Yeah, in the redevelopment, they were looking for the redevelopment for a relocation plan, Parkside 1, to leave units open so that when they start the construction, Building A residents would be moved to Building C and Building B. So the units were left open so that they could transfer, so that they wouldn't have to move off-site. The residents wanted to stay on-site, so that's why there was this, accommodation for the residents so that they would stay on-site when they're moved. But with the delay with the project, but those units need to be rehabbed. We have original cabinets, we have, tubs that need to be rebuilt, so it's not a quick turn. Here, we started renting them up, we've had people move out, we've done leasing, we just leased another unit. We have nobody left on our efficiency wait list.
And we'll get to all that
Yeah.
further in the agenda.
So hold on, before, I don't want to go from one thing to another, I want to get my questions resolved.
That's what I was gonna do. I was gonna also
Skirting around
redirect it,
questions.
because
I got serious questions. I don't
He's
understand.
saying he hasn't had access, that you have been not allowing him to see the vacant units.
I was supposed to meet you today at 6:30. We were gonna meet you.
That was,
I had a meeting, you came here today screaming and yelling at one of
I
my
wasn't
staff.
screaming and yelling anyway. I actually had a good conversation with your staff. I don't know why that was communicated to you like that.
Well, it was, and that you wanted to see a unit, and that you were entitled to see a unit.
Absolutely, I'm a commissioner of the housing authority, and what am I here for? I don't work for
But
merit.
the thing is that I don't take orders from one board member. It's as a board.
It's not true. We all have equal power as commissioners here. We all have equal authority, and we should have access to records and the other unoccupied units when we would like to see them.
Well,
I've
I
actually
think the board,
sent you,
I think the board was gonna discuss this tonight.
This is
It's
on the agenda, we have an agenda item for that, so.
So just to let you know that I've made these requests via email and I get no response, just like I never got a response from the invoicing for the expenditures from the report from last month.
So when we will address that on the agenda item where we talk about discussion of management oversight. So is that okay? Because we want to have a whole big discussion around that and maybe have some action plan around what's going to happen with that. Is that okay, Mark? We just kind of, but I,
Can I finish?
yep,
On your letter of October 14th,
my letter.
to Parkside Village 1, signed Chair of Housing Authority, John Branford, and Dara Hobel. It says, the residents of Parkside 1 who remain in good standing. What the hell does that mean? I mean, I've gotten more write-ups from Letitia than Carter has liver pills.
You're not the only one. I have a lot in my office.
You know, an American flag.
She
On
hates
the 4th of
America.
July, excuse me, didn't get my boxes unpacked within 2 days of moving in.
So I can't answer that question, Bo, but what I can do is say that that is also something we're going to discuss in the agenda item of management oversight.
Okay,
So.
so
we
then I can
will-
keep going.
But we will get to that.
Okay,
And I'll tell you that I don't know the answer to that yet. I think we are working on trying to get,
Yeah, I've been
I think
trying.
we've been trying, we're looking for an answer for that very question. It has been requested.
Which
okay,
I talked to Bo about that the other day and said that I have my own questions on that.
yep,
Okay.
but I just wanted to bring it out in case anybody else.
And the question has gone to Beacon as well as Merritt. So we're
Correct.
looking for an answer. The
Yep.
requests have been put out.
Now, if there is not enough on-site for people in Building A, on-site, you know, move in. It says here that I was told when I moved in, because Max turned to Leticia after she said we'd be moving out of Building A. And she said, Max said, I moved her twice in a year, I ain't moving her again. And she said, no, it's all on us, we will take care of it. Now it says here, we will be reimbursed. So that means that, no, you guys aren't moving us out, and I don't know any senior here who has the money in the bank to give, first month's, last month's rent and pay moving expenses and wait for you
I can
to
answer
reimburse us. Oh, you,
I can
okay.
answer that, because we went, our
Sir,
resident.
before you answer, are you from Beacon? Is anybody here
No,
from Beacon?
no.
We don't want Beacon, that's Massachusetts.
All right, let me answer the question.
I'm sorry, pardon me.
Okay. We were told, when they move you out, you have the option, they will pack you, they will move you. If you want to pack yourself, they reimburse you for the packing. They will move you out, unpack you, move you in. Time comes when the building is finished, they will do the same process in reverse.
Well, what happens if we don't get moved on site? What?
They're gonna move,
Somebody
they're
has
gonna
to go
move
to
you, all right, let's say they put- all
Amsterdam.
right, wait, let me finish.
Okay,
They can move you to Jefferson Woods. Okay, now I'm gonna use, don't interrupt me.
I'm not going, I didn't,
Go to Jefferson Woods, if the Jefferson Woods rent is $1,000, they're gonna pay the difference from what you pay right now. They will pay the remainder of that rent for the length of time that you are in that building, that apartment.
so
Doesn't
Jefferson
cost
Woods
you
is
anywhere,
our,
I'm just saying, anywhere in
Okay.
town, I'm using that
Okay.
as an example. But you won't have to pay any more money than you actually pay right now. Beacon will, they said, it's in the contract, they would take care of that.
so that we don't have to give first and last month's rent.
No, you don't have to do anything,
Anything like that.
no money's coming out of your pocket, except what you pay merit right now.
Okay.
Okay, and then, like I said, in reverse, they will move you back to the new building and unpack you if you like.
Okay,
Or will it be an 88 compliant apartment?
Yeah. Okay, price, no
No,
change.
I'm saying it'll be ADA compliant wherever they're gonna move things.
We don't know.
No, that I don't know, that I can't answer, I can't answer that question.
That's the whole reason why.
It's gonna be dependent on the tenant. If somebody has a handicap or special need, they're gonna have to go into a handicap special need apartment. They're not gonna put them, I would hope not, they would put them somewhere where they couldn't.
Can we get that in writing instead of you will be
It's supposed to be,
reimbursed?
it's in writing.
It's in writing.
I have the tenant contract, so that they
I
did that.
have one that was mailed to me. And it says,
I can go back, I have it somewhere.
when that occurs, if, you know, the building is gonna come down. It says, when that occurs, suitable housing will be made available to you for a temporary period, and you will be reimbursed for all reasonable extra expenses, including a moving cost and any increase in housing costs.
Yeah.
That's what it
Yeah,
says.
that's what I just said.
Reimbursed.
Well, they're gonna pay for it.
They're gonna pay for it, that's what I mean, you won't have,
They'll-
nothing's gonna come out of your
I would just
pocket.
like that
Yeah.
upfront.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
I mean,
it doesn't come out of your pocket, believe me, I don't want it to come out of my pocket either.
Jay,
well, then it should have stated that.
Yeah.
Jay, can I defer to you on that? Is that the right answer, that they're?
That's what the contract said.
That's-
Yeah, that's what it says.
Okay, well, it wasn't put out that way. And it was signed by Taste, so I thought I'd ask Taste. And also, those came in certified letters, $6.80.
Beacon's cost, not yours. Beacon's.
No, I'm just wondering, it came out of Beacon, it didn't come out of Housing Authority or?
No, no,
And these are legal
No,
documents that have
please.
to be handled the way the state of Connecticut says we have
I
to handle
agree,
them.
but,
Yeah.
I mean, building A alone was $102.
Right,
So I just wanted to make sure it wasn't coming out of the kitty.
no, it wasn't in the state, that's what the
no,
state
no, I'm the
requires.
treasurer, nobody's coming out of the kitty without me.
Well, I don't know, you could have been on the golf course.
Believe me,
Well, I gotta make sure everything's in writing properly. Because nothing's been handled properly.
So, do you have any other questions, Bo?
Not for now.
Okay, so I guess we're gonna move on. I want to thank Jamie Cosgrove, our newly re-elected first selectman.
Congratulations.
Tonight. Congratulations.
Hallelujah.
All right, and management report, Cheryl.
Okay, there's been a change in personnel at the property. I am going to be here from 7:30 to 3:30 on Mondays, and Thursdays from 7:30 to 3:30, and we're splitting it between Parkside 1 and Parkside 2. Amber is my assistant, so she's an assistant property manager, so she's going to be working with me. We've met with a lot of the residents, and it's been a good, turnout for meeting us, and we've gotten a lot of feedback and notes, and we've been trying to work with the residents that we've, met with so far. We leased Unit A2 at Parkside Village 2 last week, and then we also had one move out at Parkside 2. So every time we move someone in, we have someone move out. We have exhausted our efficiency wait list. We're still advertising for efficiencies, however, they're not coming in. We purged and called all the one bedrooms and to see if they were still interested, and they are, but they don't want to go into an efficiency first. They want to come into a one bedroom.
Can I just ask, has there been any follow-up with the veterans, a person doing housing for the vets?
Doreen had, and one of the feedback that we had was that it's too far for them for transportation to the veterans. There's no bus line here, so that it was not convenient for them to house in Branford in this location. They said that, it would have worked for them, but because we don't have, we have
Transportation to the VA?
to the VA
Because
or
they can
to,
there is they can get transportation, I believe, to the VA.
but they want to also transportation elsewhere.
Okay.
So they said that, otherwise they would be, they would be stuck here. So, and that's what we've been talking about for years, trying to get a trolley bus or something that would be acceptable to the neighborhood. Because that's a big problem. We've had refusals from people that weren't veterans, that don't have transportation.
And I don't know that you can answer this, that, Dave, you might know, Jamie would be the person to ask, but he's not here tonight. The transportation cards, the
Yeah, we
taxi.
still have it.
So are people using those, or they?
2 or 3.
Yeah.
Just.
So
Two or
people
three,
should,
not a
is
lot.
there a way to make sure residents are aware of them? And
Well, it's posted,
Okay.
posted
Yeah.
in both,
Okay.
both boards, and so.
Every time, I see notes on that post all the time saying, can't find the card, or we owe back money.
I just put more
Or we-
money on it. They got the cards.
Go right to Dave.
Jamie and Lee have the cards. Call me, I'll get the card. Yeah, Jamie and Lee have the cards. I can get them. You call me, I'll go get the card.
Hop an elevator to go see Lee.
Okay, I'm gonna table one of my questions for after I'm done with my report. Joanne and I attended a meeting with the tenant and their support service to help resolve a dispute with another tenant. We're working on those issues. The bids for the snow removal went out. Only 2 quotes were received back. One of them is the contractor that's been doing the snow removal here for quite a few years. He went up $9,000. So, we're looking for more, companies to bid for this job. But we could talk about that after. The coin-operated laundry machine that is going to be delivered Friday morning for the reasonable accommodation for the tenant.
Excellent,
That's good.
So that's coming.
excellent.
Amber and I are going to visit the residents tomorrow to offer the use of the large dumpster that's here at Parkside 2. It's here because many people have left items behind, so we're disposing of them. And we've had a lot of complaints from other residents that are nearby, people that have a lot of items in the front. And they feel that it's now seasonal, a lot of it's seasonal, and it should be removed. Coolers, and they feel that it's tripping hazard with snow. And so we're gonna try to see if we can get volunteers to help these residents, because that's the problem. They don't have anyone to help them purge some of their stuff or a place to put it. So we're gonna tackle that. This month we assisted Beacon with items required for
Jill,
the
can I
tax
just
credit.
stop you for 1 second?
Yep.
I wonder if it's worth contacting the high school, in the fact that high schools have to get a certain amount of volunteer
Community
hours.
service, they have to do to
So,
graduate.
I mean, it might be worth calling the school social worker or
Yeah, because
something.
that's an easy job. We've called them before
Yeah.
and they haven't been receptive
Right.
of being here. But maybe this is something that they don't have to have the interaction with the actual resident too much, and maybe they'll be more to, I'll try.
I want to call Still Creek.
So we did some things with the tax credit. We had to provide for Beacon to put the application in. I have a work order log that I put in your packet tonight that Mark had asked for, so that's in your packet this evening.
What is that?
The work order.
Work order.
The work order logs. Greg put all the heaters on in the handy lifts because we started having some funkiness with a few of them, and we think that it was because of the cold temperatures going up and down.
Okay.
So, we've been meeting with the tenants that we give a rent stipend to for cleaning the towers and the emergency exits to get a feel for if they need anything to, help them with their job. So we have a couple to meet with still tomorrow, and I'll be contacting them. What that is, again, is that we give the tenants $200 a month, and they don't have to claim that as their income. It's a stipend, so it's to help them, and it's usually the ones that really could use the extra money. And then we're also working with a couple of tenants for their parking requests. One of them was Bo, and she's set, but we still have one more that we have to find another space for.
Okay.
So that's it for us. Oh, and then Joanne also did had a speaker in regarding cognitive impairment, and so she did that at Parkside 1 and Parkside 2 regarding dementia and.
And it's, too, I think. Now I know why I'm moving.
So we don't have an updated vacancy report?
We still have the same, we have 4.
Okay.
4 here, because we just have the new.
4 here at 2.
And what's at Parkside 1?
10.
You have the same 10.
Yes.
So really it hasn't changed from this
No,
month?
no, because we had to move in last week and then we had to move out. And the rest of the units that are at Parkside 2, then that's kind of where I wanted to start to end mine, is Parkside 2, we have only the units that are in the upper levels. We've had people that refuse the upper level. I had someone come and look at it the other day and she couldn't do the stairs, she couldn't do the lift. It was just too far for her to even go. So everybody who is left wants the first floor and not a second floor, and then everyone wants a 1-bedroom. So, I need to know, we have 2 1-bedrooms at Parkside 1. What am I to do? Am I to move to Parkside 1 and do those 2 1-bedrooms? Or do I leave it? This is.
Okay, fill it up until we hear further,
Okay.
if we hear further.
Is everyone in
Where
agreement with
are
that?
the units?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Where are the 1-bedroom units?
All right, I'd like
The money
to,
goes.
so I would like to say that Kate made a motion to go ahead and rent those units. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Unanimous?
Okay, so we'll do what we did here. We'll start with the 1-bedrooms, first floors, and then second floors. By need.
Well, I thought what we just said is that you have 2 1-bedrooms ready to go at Parkside 1. That's what
Oh,
we,
that's what you're doing, is just the.
for right now, that's all you, yeah.
Okay,
Are you saying that the efficiencies are not rentable?
no,
How many efficiencies are empty now?
there's 8.
There are 8. So you're saying we can't fill 8 units?
Well, right now, we've exhausted the wait list. No one wants what we have. So, everyone wants a 1-bedroom. We have people on our 1-bedroom list.
Then fill those.
I say the 2 that are ready to go, fill those, yes.
Well, they're not ready. We have to fit them up. But
I'm just wondering how you
we have
advertise
not
that.
been able to
Yeah.
move anybody, into 1 because we were hoping it for the development.
Where do you advertise?
You said you spoke to somebody at the VA. Exactly who did you speak to?
I'd have to get that information.
I think we need to probably keep,
Yeah.
are you a resident? I think that really the conversation has to stay with the residents and
Can you show me a
Well, I-
statute that says that?
you can ask.
Do you have a statute that says that?
The commission can make rules on how it operates, and
Is
this is
there a
how,
rule?
this is how we're
Can you show
operating
me
it. I'm telling you it.
Kate,
You
where
can't
do
tell
you
me, you have to
advertise?
show me.
I'd like to know.
Merritt would have to answer that.
Yeah, I'd be,
We'll
Good for
provide
the
you with
chart.
the booklet. I can provide you all the information. We have, one of them is there's a handout booklet that's at all of the stores and grocery stores, and so you have one there. It's been in the paper. We have to do it in the paper.
Which paper?
It went into the New Haven Register, and it went into the Spanish paper. And,
Did it go into the Sound?
yes, all the little papers. Yeah, they took it, and that's why we do the register, because then it goes into all the smaller
An
community
account of
papers.
what's being done and what's being advertised so that we can confirm that these advertisements go out on a particular run or newspaper print.
Oh, yeah, that's not a problem.
Good.
Because we open it, and then we get the applications.
Because I was told when I moved here that once I was in an efficiency, if I wanted a 1-bedroom, I was not allowed to get a 1-bedroom. And I'm not asked, and I told the person, I understand there'd be a rent increase for a 1-bedroom. And I was told, you're in here in an efficiency and you have, and I had to sign a paper.
I have a great answer for that.
She
Hopefully
wants,
though, soon, you're gonna be in a 1-bedroom in a new building that's got all total beautiful new,
Yeah, and no garden, and no smoking, and no nothing. I mean, it'll be like General Patton came back. Oh, Christ. Yeah, bitch face
you will
will be
get your
back.
one bedroom, that won't be an efficiency.
Hey, I'm getting used to living small.
But she would not, would she have to go on a waiting list if she wanted to go
Yeah,
to
she has
if
to
you
be
wanted to go to a
reasonable-
one bedroom, you could go on a waiting list, I'm not
It's a
saying you can't
reasonable-
go.
Well, I was told I wasn't allowed to, and I had to actually sign a piece of paper saying I would not request a one-bedroom after moving into an efficiency. Leticia made me sign.
You have to have a reasonable accommodation to move to a one bedroom from an efficiency.
Oh, I am.
I don't know that.
I'm big. My wheelchair won't fit.
So, are you done with your master? Okay, so I think that the request from Mark was that we get some sort of accounting about your advertising,
Yeah, when it
and
runs.
we'll have a monthly vacancy report. Thank you.
Also, I want to just mention, can I, as a commissioner, submit this specification for snow removal for further bids before it's decided on? Because I have like 100 contractors.
That's what
Yeah,
we're
we'd
doing,
love to
that's
have
why,
one.
Yeah,
that's
that's what
why,
it
That'd be
says on it.
wonderful. Thank you very much, Mark.
that's
We're
why
looking
it's
for- yeah,
here,
looking for
because
bids,
we
yeah.
need more contractors.
Yes, thank you.
And who is this Inc. lawn care? There's no address or phone number on this estimate.
Do they remove the tree
That
boughs
is- that's
that are all
Darren-
over the lawn?
That's Darren Collins.
What's the name of this company? It's Inc. Lawn Care?
He's done.
Is that both
contract
houses?
agreement.
He's been doing it a long time,
Yes, he
right?
has been doing
Is
it,
he in Branford?
yes.
Yeah, I think he's Bull Collins kid, isn't he?
I don't know.
No, he's been doing it for a very long time.
Too bad he can't pick up the branches. Our Parkside one was small.
Yeah.
So,
And- and-
the board of commissioners vote on snowplow.
Okay.
It's kind of late.
Excuse me, what?
Who votes on the contract with snowplow? The commissioners or the manager?
I think generally the managers
Yeah,
have done it.
we've been doing it, but.
But if
we
you can get her some
If you
more
wanna make a
bids, that'd be great.
recommendation, like, let's say we get them all in,
Mark,
and
get a
there's
lawn
somebody that you
person.
know, then I think.
Well, I mean, I've got a lot of people that I work with, and I don't, but I have a working relation with tons of these guys.
So Mark
But it
also,
really should be the commission, it should be the commission that really votes on contracts.
No,
Yeah.
no, in our contract with the management company, it says that they do the contract.
That's not how it usually works.
I know, but that's what our, oh, I don't
Our
know.
contract.
That's how our contract.
Well,
yeah, I would like to say that we are gonna need to have another meeting this month regarding the budget, so if there's some new information regarding snow plowing, maybe we could address it at that point in time.
So what
But
is your
I really
what is-
appreciate you going and getting more bids for us.
Oh, yes, I do it all the time. What is your cutoff time for this decision?
We have to have a budget meeting by when?
It's gonna snow Thursday.
no, it's not.
No, it's not. Tomorrow's Thursday.
Budget meeting,
Yeah.
budget meeting is gotta be by the end of the month.
Okay, should we set it right now?
Yeah, well, I wanted to do that tonight.
So, do you wanna give us some?
Yeah,
Was there already a draft budget here?
no, we're working
No.
on it.
They're
Well,
gonna present
Separated.
to the committee.
What's interesting is, it's gonna come up in another agenda item further down, why we had to postpone the last budget meeting,
Okay.
okay? But let's schedule it, because we gotta get it in before the month is out.
Yeah.
Where are we? We're on management report.
Oh, we want you here.
And I don't know that it has to be a Wednesday, does it?
No.
It can be whatever works.
Schedule-
It can't be a Monday, can't be the 20th.
Yeah, TC, I
We
know
need-
public schools
we
are
need
26 is,
You know what?
26 is really the only day I can have it.
The 26th you can do?
Yeah.
Can everybody do the 26th?
I can,
Yeah, that's Tuesday.
I can.
yes.
Tuesday, 26th.
What time's good?
Mark, can you?
Yes.
Good.
Make sure you check it out, make sure.
You're taking care
Oh,
of it.
boy, I'll
I
tell you.
am.
Yeah,
So what time will we?
7?
No,
7's
Okay.
So,
here in Parsonsville too.
yeah, so Victoria's gonna take care of agendas now, so you will notice that meeting as a special meeting. And I think the only agenda item might be the budget and maybe a snowplow update. or snow removal update? 20,
Yeah, that's Tuesday, November 26th.
Are you going to have a capital budget included in that budget, or is that separate?
That's gonna be separate. Because Larry as far as we need to go to the architect in order to get a plan.
Can we make sure that Larry is available when we do that? I think
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
crucial.
it's gonna be a capital budget, CHAPA requires that. I mean, if we know we have certain things that we're gonna have to replace, we list those.
I mean, we know a lot of the things that, I mean, the concrete, the door, the exterior doors, you know, so there are certain priority items that have to be
Right.
dealt with, which we said that will be done under the critical needs. And then for other funding issues, then, you know, some.
Or the reserves.
Mark, can you make that meeting on the 26th?
I can.
Okay, great. All right, so, old business redevelopment of Parkside 1. I would like to make an announcement and then turn it over to Larry. I'm happy to announce that we have, our application has been put in for the federal tax credit. Larry, you have more knowledge about that.
Yeah, the application was due today at 4 o'clock. I suspect they got it in. That'll go into the Connecticut Housing Finance Authority. They will probably get 15 applications, of which they'll fund 6 or 7. And the announcements will probably be made in about March.
March.
I have a question. If he doesn't live there, how can he go?
He's our
He's
consultant.
our consultant. He's under
He
contract.
lives at Arbor Village. He likes condos instead of apartments.
So it should, I think, should be a very competitive application. Housing authorities do have a certain priority. New Haven Housing Authority knows going in with at least one project, so there'll be competition, but
Yeah.
I think it
I
should
think
break
Beacon felt
through.
really good about the numbers in the application, so they're,
Yeah, the tax credit market is very strong right now, so.
So Beacon hasn't taken any consideration for the fact that,
we
You know.
signed it last meeting.
that we don't want the building. Beacon has not taken that into consideration yet. I mean, we were
Say that
planning and
again, I'm
zoning.
sorry. What was that?
Beacon has
No,
not.
behind you, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm
I
sorry.
said, then move. This has been going on for years.
Oh, I'm aware of it, Chris. I'm aware of it. That's why I wasn't really sure if I wanted to
So if you don't like it, then you can
move.
move. That's all.
Oh, I know that. I know that.
There are quite a few
There are
residents
people
who are
that
very much
can't.
in favor of the project.
Okay, so that vote we took was,
That was a straw poll and it was, that people have come back and said different things, so.
oh, okay. Well, I'll get that list and see.
But we've been approached by a number of residents that they're really excited about the project.
Okay. I just wonder what it's gonna do to land values.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
The land values around here. I mean, that's like, you know, putting up a structure with a park right next door. And,
Right. Well, I'm not really concerned about as much, I mean, I'm a commissioner for the Branford Housing Authority.
I know,
I'm concerned
yeah.
about the tenants at Parkside 1, especially with the building in such disrepair. We have.
I don't know why you say that, Tace. You know, if people, maintenance people, or lawnmower guys had blown out the gutters, we wouldn't have all that concrete falling, because it all got wet.
Right, well, I'm not an engineer, I can't speak to that.
I'm just with common sense and living in homes, and know, you know, these are maintenance things that have to be taken care of.
And I agree, and that's our next agenda item, I think we should move on to it.
Okay.
So the new business, any other, the redevelopment, we're good with that, we don't need any more conversation about it? Okay, new business, discussion of management oversight. So Mark, I think I'll let you kind of run with this, because,
As far as the oversight for pertaining to what topic?
well,
Management.
you have really expressed some strong,
I really was disappointed since when I came on the board to see that there was minimal transparency with the property manager and the board commissioners as well. I was really disappointed after you had the same property manager for 20 years and the place is in such disrepair with no money. I just don't understand how you can have both. Either you have a lot of maintenance done and the place is in top condition, and I can understand why you have no money. I don't understand why this why this Branford Housing Authority has no money, and these buildings are in the condition that they're in today.
The money goes elsewhere.
So, and I don't understand how this is not, you know, a bid out every year. I mean, you should have an annual contract every year, like with other places that I manage. And it's, you know, it's more competitive for people and to make sure that the numbers actually are correct.
Okay, so I hear that, and I'm thinking that you think we should probably have an RFP for the property management. It's been a while.
I do, but I think the commissioners need to work on it. I don't think you should be delegating that part of it to everyone else.
Okay, so one thing, you know, I thought maybe we could have a subgroup that you were part of for that,
Yeah,
looking at,
yeah,
getting an RFP?
I do. I choose the
Okay.
commissioners on the board and it's to start communicating more than they have been
Okay,
and doing that together.
so you don't want a subcommission, you just want the whole board to be
I
doing
think
it?
that the board should be doing it, yes, together.
Okay, I thought we'd get more done if it was a subcommittee, because we
No,
meet
I
so
think there's a lot to
infrequently.
learn in doing that. I think that the board should really know how this is done. And I think we should be working together on moving forward with it.
What are you suggesting? We meet all the time, like real?
No, we don't have to meet that many times. I mean, to put you know, a request for bid package together, probably meet twice, just to go over some
Oh,
parameters and
you
like
are
a spreadsheet.
asking for a request for bid?
Oh,
okay,
absolutely.
Yeah, all right.
Absolutely.
All right,
So I would say that
yeah.
none of us here in the commission are real experts on the Connecticut state housing stuff, and I think that Larry is, so I would certainly, if Larry was willing to, I'd really like Larry's expertise in that field, because there's lots of laws and guidelines that we need to follow, and, I mean, I think, you know, you have a lot of experience in a certain area of real estate, and this is just, it's governed differently, I think, it's so, you know, I think if Larry was willing to work with us.
I'd be drafting up a simple RFP.
Right.
Yeah.
Any companies that would have to bid would have to be approved by Chatham because they require it, the
Right.
lender. So I think that can be done, and Mark probably has. If you have examples of RFPs you've used, I'm happy to
You can go
work
to
with it.
Senior center and get the bylaws and stuff on
They
it.
might
I
have to be a
have
little more specific.
No, they talk about all that. I have copies in my house.
Yep, so that's one thing. The other thing that I'm concerned about is, what if the redevelopment funds don't happen? Why are we not having a backup plan for the repairs of this property? And why are we not just tenanting all the buildings for now? I think you've
Well,
lost
we
quite a
just
few
did,
thousands of dollars. Right, but I'm not clear as to how many units you're talking about, or what is specifically is going to be done. And she's talking about fit-ups. I would like to see what these fit-ups require, because I don't really think they require as much as being stated.
Can we make a plan to have, I don't know if it's just Mark or Mark and all the commissioners, but can we get some viewing of the uninhabited units? Can we schedule that right now so that we,
Okay, and then regarding my email request, I just want to clarify that too. So when a commissioner, one or the other, me, whoever, makes a request to the property manager, is it true that the property manager should not respond to the request or table the request until you have a meeting a month later?
I believe that we have to, all five agree and vote, and then.
For every request?
Yeah, I think so.
I
You know, I'd like to ask.
Oh, yes, yes.
Yeah, we can ask you.
Nailed down.
Yale.
you guys have the,
You know.
So in your day-to-day contract, like Merit has the day-to-day operations, so decisions that are supposed to be left up to Merit pursuant to your management agreement that's in place with them right now, get left up to Merit, right, for them to exercise their discretion in that. There are other decisions that then implicate the entire Board of Commissioners, things when you give oversight directives to Merit, things that are not in the day-to-day maintenance, under what's covered in the contract with Merit, and that would require the full Board of Commissioners.
So, okay, so you're putting, as it stands now, you're giving that legal input into the facility as it stands, correct?
I think, so I would mainly base your decision I would look at the Merit contract and say, I think that what you're envisioning or what you're asking to be decided upon is or is not something covered in that contract and in the language that's laid out in that contract, and then direct you accordingly.
I don't know if I had seen the contract or how detailed it is, but there's a lot of specifics, like daily things that are simple requests that have not one has been performed in 4 months.
The contract was in the book.
Okay, so the contract is in our big
And-
binder book, so I think
I'll
that
take a
would
look
be
at
good
that,
to review
but also
that.
that binder book has the tabs, and then you refer to the certain tabs, and it says, hey, there's no information.
Yeah, but
Well,
that
because
is in there, the
some,
contract.
some of them are because that they don't apply to the property or that they have to be redacted. So if you want something from there, my understanding was, and this is how we've worked all along, is that at a board meeting, the board would decide, you know, from now on, I would like this information monthly. I did not take direction from 5 board members. I took direction at a board meeting or from the chair. So if you know, the board met without me and came up with a decision of something that they needed, there's not a problem giving it to you. But I'm having a problem because you're coming in and asking for things here on the property, and then you're also calling or emailing and want that information. I don't have a problem giving you that information, it's just that the direction of the way that you're requesting it is not correct.
Well, I mean, if you're saying you don't have a problem giving that information, but then you don't give the information, then you have a problem with giving the
Because you
information.
asked, wait a minute.
That's
The last time when we talked, you told me you gave the book and everything that the attorneys gave you to your secretary, that you did not read it. And I said, I would be happy to meet with you and educate you on that book. But the thing is that you have to educate yourself. You have to take the book and read it.
It's not a question of educating myself, because that's really not the topic that we're discussing right now.
But you're asking me for things that were in that book.
No, I just made a reference to the point that when you look up certain tabs, if there really is no information, it refers back to the management.
Well, this had to do with the contract, and the contract is in that book, so we can review, I would say that all of us board members should take the time to review the contract so that we know
Absolutely.
where we are currently and moving
Review
forward,
again
we
as well.
know,
Right,
we know what the.
and my contract is basically designed by Jaffa and DOH.
Right.
So it's not so much, and I mean, the actual large one that Jaffa has is even worse. This is a small housing authority contract.
Okay, so I have a couple more questions to ask pertaining to this. Is it accurate to say that, so we don't have, as commissioners, cannot walk in and see an unoccupied unit? Okay, wait a minute. Is it accurate to say that none of the commissioners are entitled to see the application, not medical reports or people's behavioral plans? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because I am getting people calling my office saying that they're being declined, and you know that, okay? And I have their information. And I would like to know why they're being declined, or why don't we have any oversight on the Board of Commissioners to oversee these applications and what the regulations are, why they're being declined?
They're being declined because they were either over income or under income.
I would like to see it.
But the problem is that that's confidential. You don't have the right to see that.
That's not what I understand about it.
You can see someone's personal information if they give it to you. I can't give
I'm not
that to
asking
you.
for personal information, I'm asking for a rental application and the criteria showing that me why they
It's
were
right
declined.
behind you. There's
Okay.
one right behind you. And
Okay,
And also, I did want to not lose sight of that, we were gonna schedule a time that we could view unoccupied units. So I just don't want to get that lost. Cheryl's here on Mondays and Thursdays, is that correct? Can we, I think it'll probably be good if we did it during,
I don't know, and I will refer back and I will read this management thing probably for the next 3 weeks, because I really want to understand what's going on here, because it seems to me that this commission is not running the management.
It's not.
And I'm very concerned about it, because it seems like everything is put in the hands or the lap of the property manager, which from what I know is very risky. And it's not smart, from many standpoints. And I have a huge concern coming into a commission and being on a board, when really nobody knows what's going on except the manager, and the communication has been minimal.
Okay, then I think you should read the contract and see where you take exception, right?
and so I would like to get back to scheduling a time where we could come and view units. So Cheryl, would you suggest a few times?
yeah, I mean, Mondays and Thursdays is fine.
Okay, and Mark, do you have a preference of Monday or Thursday?
Thursdays would be better.
Okay, and do you have a particular Thursday that would be good for you?
I didn't even bring my book with me, so, I mean, we could shoot for something like, I would say any Thursday over the next 2 weeks. This Thursday, I mean, tomorrow night would be fine for me.
Well, she's only here till 3, right?
3:30, but
That's
I
fine,
can
my
stay a
office is
little.
only 2 blocks away.
And is it only Mark or is the whole board gonna be going?
I can go, I
This
could
is
be here.
tomorrow.
I'll attend.
I could be here, yeah.
At what time? 3:30?
I'll go record.
I mean, can we make it next Thursday, is it possible to make it next Thursday morning, the 14th? In the
Well,
morning?
Yeah,
Yeah, let's make it the
let's do
14th in the morning.
14th.
We'll have to find out if Cheryl
I'm here.
So what
had
time?
1 or 2.
9?
Sure, that'll be great.
9, that's perfect, all right.
I don't know whether I can come or not. If I can, I will. I have
I can go.
some work commitments next week.
Right.
Casey?
You should be meeting.
Right.
Right.
You can't hear you.
So they can't all go look at
So you can't all look at the email at once.
Make sure you notice the meeting.
This was left on my office doorstep this morning.
Really good, great, thank you very, very, very much. That's a good point. We have to notice the meeting if we're gonna do that, so you have to,
I'll do a
What's that,
special,
notice the meeting?
special meeting.
Still
for the
great.
if
tour of
there's
the
3
property.
commissioners, then it's
Well, if
a,
you have to have 3 commissioners, I mean, is there really any input from the other commissioners? I mean.
I don't have to come.
I don't have to come, but there's 3 of you who wanna come.
Well, no.
I'm not really coming as a commissioner, I just want to see.
But it's a quorum. If we have a quorum, we have to have
Meeting.
Has to be
we have to
meeting.
notify
Yes.
them, we have to the whole thing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
There's rules we have to follow.
Why don't you and Dave do it? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
We want to do 9 o'clock, you said?
Yes, on November 14th. So this was left on my doorstep in my office this morning. And I have a quick question, please. On page number 1, when you open up, you can see that it's circled here. I don't even need to mention it. And what's highlighted on the next page,
Hold on, I think we need to have a minute to review the document, if you could.
which I think that, I mean, everyone is, I mean, I'm pretty clear as to what's going on with the other concerns. My only concern in this package that was left in my office is this last page where it references agent name Kate Collins, business name Branford Affordable Housing Incorporated. I don't know what this is. Is this some kind of an affiliation for Branford Housing Authority? It was registered in the state of Connecticut.
Branford Affordable Housing.
It's a separate nonprofit.
Oh, yeah, that's part of the agreement with people, they have to
It's a law,
have
CHAPA.
an LLC.
So, yeah, we
Mark,
can
in
put-
the initial presentation that I gave, at your orientation meeting, I talked about that in order to do the redevelopment, you have to make a sort of affiliated nonprofit entity that can formally accept tax credit dollars, et cetera. And so we had, and I think I had like a little graph showing you how, a chart showing you how it related. So you recall we had formed that as an affiliate to the housing authority in order to be able to receive the federal tax credits.
It's not actually an affiliate, right? It has, so it's an organization that is, it has 2 board members at all times that need to be from the housing authority. But it is not owned by the housing authority. It is not like a subsidiary of the housing authority. It's a separate non-stock corporation, has its own 501c3 status. And, but part of it is we want to have it be connected to the housing authority. And so at any given time, there needs to be, in pursuant to the bylaws of that non-stock corporation, 2 board members who are from the housing authority to make sure that the housing authority's goals and, I guess, mission and such is being represented accurately. So it does work in tandem with the housing authority, but it is not part of the housing authority.
In the redevelopment, what's the role of that? Is it a co-general partner, special limited partner?
So it's it'll be a general partner with Beacon.
Yep.
So in order to apply for any sort of tax credits, you, as Hannah noted, you do have to have, typically, especially for particular ones like housing tax credit contributions, you actually have to be a nonprofit in order to even apply for those. And so last year, for example, BAH applied for tax credits for the property to try and move, help solve funding
And will
concerns.
will that entity have the first right of
Is she live
refusal
here or is she on
to
board?
purchase the property?
These are lawyers.
Yeah,
She's a Yale volunteer.
I'm sorry, what was that, Larry?
Will that entity have the first right of refusal to purchase at the end of the compliance period?
I don't know, I'd have to reread through the deal, but there is yes, it is part of the general partnership that will ground lease, the property from the housing authority. So it'll be a three-way partnership essentially.
And is there general partnership contract in that binder as well?
Yes, it's in the
Yes,
agreement.
it's in the site development agreement. It lays out the different entities.
It's titled the site development agreement, and it describes.
What's the title?
Site development agreement. It's the agreement to begin around the contract, around the development, and, it details sort of the structure, but, I think also the presentation I gave you that day talked about this, so.
Larry, I didn't hear what you
signed
just
last meeting?
I mean, the purpose of doing this is to give the housing authority some ongoing role
Okay.
and control in the redevelopment
Redevelopment.
operation. So it's not just handing it over to Beacon and walking away. This allows them to
So it
continue.
gives a third look.
And very often, not a third look, it
Well-
allows the housing authority to exercise some level of control going forward with Beacon. And then my question at the end is, very often, that entity would have the right to purchase back the property and operate it for the very long term.
Got it.
So, but that may or not be part of this.
I appreciate that, thank you,
But
Larry.
it's an important role, so the housing authority stays involved in this no matter what, even though Beacon is the main partner, the housing authority has power to exercise.
Okay.
Larry, how do these usually end? When the development is completed and these partnerships and these entities?
There's a 15-year compliance period, tax credit period. At the end of that, there's what we call a 15-year kind of buyout, where often the general partner, and that's my question, where the nonprofit or the housing authority entity has the right to purchase the other general partner and the limited partner, so it consolidates ownership. So would like to see what the end game is. So Beacon may, at the end of that, not be involved at all, but the investor who brings all the tax credit equity definitely will exit that partnership at that time, and so there's a consolidation. So I think it is a question that folks, as you as commissioners, want to know, what happens in year 16? Who is going to be owner and control of the property for the very long term?
With that, so just so I understand it clearly, is Branford Housing Inc., is that what's the name of it? Branford Housing?
No, Branford Affordable Housing.
Affordable Housing
Reverse the way.
is a nonprofit that was created to, in part, and they're applying for the federal tax credits. The federal tax credits flow through the Branford Housing, Affordable Housing.
They flow through
Through a GP of Beacon. So there's an entity that's,
Yeah, so there's a general partnership between Beacon and then this newly created housing authority.
not housing authority, sorry.
Housing, yeah.
Branford, BAH is what we say, and then the housing authority.
There's a general partnership between those two entities.
Yes.
That then, because the federal tax credits, I thought I heard say it's required to go through the not-for-profit.
well,
Is that right?
there is a entity that is going to be set up. It's actually a for-profit LLC, limited liability corporation, or they used to be limited partners. Because the third element is the investor, maybe Bank of America, maybe somebody who's bringing the cash to it. So those three entities, the co-general partners and the limited partner, or the managing member and the other member, those three operate that. The credits flow to that entity. At the end of 15 years, that Bank of America exits the partnership, and the ownership is then consolidated in the two entities.
I just have two questions there, so I understand. Who are there's two housing, obviously Kate, and there's another member of the housing authority who sits on this board of the nonprofit.
That would be me.
And who are the other members who sit on the board of this?
Two of them are over there.
Okay. And then I got the question, I think if you could provide in that year 16, what if the amount of money, what if the money's not there to purchase? They made the new entity or the Branford Housing, Branford Affordable Housing. May, if they have first right of refusal, but what if they cannot come up with funds, then who is it offered to?
The way these are structured now, at least I'm just saying Bank of America, let's say the limited partner. It is structured for them, they've received all of their benefits. So for the value of the debt, they basically walk away. So there's no cash typically that goes to the investor these days because they're structured appropriately. And I don't have the answer to what happens between Beacon and the Housing Authority's nonprofit. So that, what happens there and how that ownership then consolidates. It may be that Beacon and the two of them continue to operate as is.
But
So at
usually
least-
a third partner with investment.
Third partner basically walks away.
Over the 15 years,
They've gotten all the benefits
They take the
they
tax
take.
credits.
But at that 15-year period, then, an entity, whether it's Branford BAA or Beacon or a combination, take ownership of the properties.
But I do want to clarify, the housing authority will always be involved because they're ground leasing the property.
Right.
So the housing authority won't ever be
We're
gone
talking
or
about We're talking
disappear.
about the structures themselves.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
But I think it's a 99-year lease.
For a dollar.
If it's, I guess the only other question is, I don't know if we're getting into this at another time, is when did we vote on the division of Parkside 1 and Parkside 2?
No division, okay. What we need to do is.
That's the next agenda item, so yeah.
Oh, I'm
No,
sorry.
that's fine, I'm just saying, are we ready to move
Yeah.
on? That is the next agenda item, so I
But
just,
if we get money, which we hope we're going to do, and it's limited to Parkside 2, we have to have the ability to make reports that land credit is cheap or something. So we've got to know what is Parkside 2 and what's Parkside 2. A little more work for the management company, because they've got to take their staff and break it. And we need, we should have done legal. Should have done that for a while, so we know, for instance, how much money was being made or lost. Parkside 1, how much money was being made or lost. But it doesn't change anything legal, it's still the same legal thing. Well, we've got to be able to make it
And I
on
think-
Parkside 2, because they're going to borrow money, hopefully.
and we're not able to access any money for Parkside 2 currently with the books together, correct? Because of the redevelopment.
You would want to separate them. I guess my question is the ownership of Parkside 1 and 2, is that separate? They were financed at different times.
Yes,
Right,
the title is
however, in the state, as in DOH and CHAFA, it's as one.
Right.
They have their own numbers, but because one was in 85 and one was before that, but they have the same set of books, the financial statements, the audits, everything is done as one.
So they did you a favor by allowing you to report together so you didn't have to do separate reporting for both.
Right.
So that's a big deal.
It
So
is a lot more work.
Yeah.
I mean, the management company has to take all their staff and make them sign when they were Parkside 2 and make them sign when they were Parkside. All their purchasing has to be, I mean, I'd like it because it's more detailed.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I mean, and some of
Now
it
we
too,
have
as
to.
far as for the rent structure, you know, Parkside 1 includes the utilities, Parkside 2 doesn't, they get the utility allowance. So, I mean, for me, I don't mind it being separated. It's just getting it to be separated.
normally
To
they
get
would have
to that
had you
point.
separated from the beginning, but they did you
Yeah,
a
it should
favor
have been.
to minimize the
So it's
reporting.
kind of cleanup work.
Because it's
at
a
this
pain,
point,
it's a
yeah.
pain to do all the
Right,
time.
right.
So once we actually have an assessment on the current units in Parkside 1, do we have the ability to establish what it's gonna cost to bring these units back up to working order? While you already have the application in for the redevelopment to apply for funds,
I mean, you've already got a redevelopment plan in place that's moving forward, that's probably going to get funded. What CHAFA, you've got some reserve monies with CHAFA. They've already told me, at least, that they would not release any for Parkside 1, because why fix up a unit that's gonna be demolished? So that's kind of where you're at. Why spend money on a unit that may be demolished in a year? So that's the balance you have, is leave these units empty or put them back online. You've got one of the reasons you want to split this, you've got a cash flow problem at both properties. Beacon has to fix the one at Parkside 1. That's their job. They have to do that because they have a financial incentive in some ways keep units empty because of the relocation costs.
But we're not gonna
Parkside
allow them
too.
to do it without
Right.
compensating.
But it makes sense to
If they
rent up
don't.
bedroom one because this could be a year away.
Right.
They may not get funded, it may be 2 years away.
Right.
So, but at some point, I mean, Parkside too, we've got to get focused on that. Because that's part of the problem you're having now is you didn't start this process 10 years ago.
Right.
And so you're playing catch up. So now let's get caught up on Parkside 2 as quickly as we can and find the money. And all of this there's not a lot of money out there for any of this.
Right.
There was 5 years ago, which is when you started the Parkside 1. So it's not your subsidies are going away. I mean,
Well, they're gone. I don't
be
think
careful, be
so.
careful what you wish for in terms of managing these properties. There's nothing worse than managing a property with no revenues coming in and expenses going out. So there's no more revenue, there's no more subsidies at the state, we've got to figure out a way to rectify it. So it's a tough one. I wouldn't want to manage it. I've managed properties in tough cities and tough areas. And it's not fun when you don't have enough revenues coming in, so.
Well, we
but
are
we gotta-
advertising, we did, now we can say that we accept section 8, so that is another, way of getting a subsidy for someone who needs it. There's also for the veterans, there's the VASH,
Right.
which we've contacted them, they already know that, we're available if they have somebody.
Right.
But, so that would help the tenants, and then the tenants can also, which we've told them, is that they can apply when these housing authorities, large housing authorities, open their wait list for section 8s to get on a voucher program. But they're always way, down the road of being open.
Right.
They do it off of a lottery.
Can I ask you a question, just for informational sake? The current average rent that is collected by you for a one-bedroom unit is how much?
About 300,
300. If somebody had a Section 8 voucher, how much rent would you collect for that same unit?
1,000.
Okay. That's part of the reason I think we're in big financial trouble, because all those subsidies went away. There used to be the RAP, the Rental Assistance Program, and the E-RAP, the Elderly RAP, and the state dropped all those. So we used to be able to get more income to help.
That, for the E-RAPs, they are not like the Section 8 program.
Right.
The E-RAPs will only go to the base rent.
Right.
And so what we've had the challenges is that our rent structure here was $65 and $75 for the rent for the tenants. So the state wanted us to increase those to a higher rent structure. So in order to do that, they needed to give us more RAP. So it was a balancing. So instead of us just going up to a reasonable for operating, we couldn't do it because they couldn't give us that big chunk of revenue.
Okay.
So now they've stopped it, so all the tenants moving in have to pay the base rent. So your question is, why are they being refused, is that our tenant selection plan is that we don't want someone to pay more than 40% of their income for their housing expenses, because then they're gonna struggle. So that's why we refuse, except in the refusal, it indicates that they can call us or contact us for a hearing, which we do. And sometimes we've been able to, not pressure them, but say, do you have a family member who might subsidize you that you weren't thinking of asking? And so we have had that, so that's a plus. But there is no subsidies out there for these residents to grasp. But by, us bringing the rent structure from $65 and $75 a month, that's why, it's not like Slimy and Jimo, where their rent structure, they're Section 8 project based. So no matter what, they get over $1,000 for their rents. We don't.
And we're trying to move towards more to getting more voucher services so people can be here, that there's more options for people who need affordable housing to be here, so.
But one of the things too that I want to mention is that, and the board for many, many years did not raise the base rent, because what happens is that then it hurts the tenant. Because there's no income from the state So if they raise the base rent, which the state encouraged them to do, and they said, no, we don't want to, because then our tenants are gonna be paying more than 40-50% of their income for their rent. Because they're not gonna move out, because where else are they gonna go? There's not, they're not the greatest, but at least it's reasonable in their, what they get for a check. And most of them are on very, very limited income, some $700 a month. So where are you gonna, be able to afford that without a subsidy?
Well, the particular one that you had known had to contact my office was a self-payer, and he was going to get support from another family member.
They actually, I think I know who you're talking about, because they actually did. I spoke with his sister many, many times, and that was she wasn't ready to make the commitment, and then she finally made the commitment. So he's
So did he move in?
He's moving in, but he's not moving in here, he's moving into one of the other properties.
Oh.
Because it's a one bedroom and it's a level, one first floor.
Branford?
He's in his,
Yeah,
he's in his 90s.
Yeah, I mean, part of the problem is that the units are so inaccessible, that they're not handicap
The guy
accessible.
can run circles around you and me, I know. Believe me, he's in very good shape.
Right, his sister did say that, but the family decision was to move him somewhere else.
Right, because you never know at that age what,
Okay.
okay.
Any more business?
Next on the agenda.
Any other business? Any other business? I move to adjourn meeting.
I'll second that.
Or make a vote? Yes. Adjourn the meeting.